Hey, my name is Davin, and this is episode 10 of the Kart Pulse podcast. It's actually really nice to get back to an episode of Drinks with Karters with Trey Shannon, where we crack open a beer and talk about karting. Trey is actually a world record holder in 3 different attempts of endurance karting, which we'll talk about. He works with competitive racing drivers working on their fitness as a trainer, so we talk a lot about proper nutrition and proper exercise in karting, and then we spend the rest of the time just BSing over beer. So it was pretty awesome. I will let you know that there's a little bit of background noise I wasn't able to edit out of this one, so you'll hear some breathing and clicks here and there, but this chat was really well worth it, and I think you'll get a lot of value out of it. So let's just jump into it. Good. So I forgot to ask this the last time, and I promised I would never do it again. What beer did you bring this time?
I brought, I don't know if you can see it. It's a Vienna lager from Devil's Backbone.
Oh, nice. Yeah?
Small brewery in Virginia.
Oh, nice. I'm actually, for the first time, not drinking an apple ale. I'm drinking this Krabby's raspberry ginger beer.
Okay.
I have the worst taste in drinks, like, period. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just like, well, that seems fun, and I'll just pull it off the shelf. So
it's all progress.
Right.
You're finding out what you don't like.
Exactly. So half the time I'm like, this is a funny label. I'll take that.
Yeah, I went back and listened to a couple of your other podcasts, and I noticed that you had sort of you took a liking towards hard apple ciders. Yep. And it's so funny because I went to the store and I got this Devil's Backbone, which it's from up in Virginia, and we lived up there for a while, and right across the street from Devil's Backbone is one of the best cider mills I've ever been to.
Oh, nice.
It's so good. And if they had it in the store, I probably would have gotten that instead.
Yeah. But. No, I hear you. Well, the problem is that I got Sprite's apple cider or apple ale the first time, and so I had to drink through those. And then I got a Stella Artois the second time, so I had to drink through all those. And so I'm like, well, if I do every podcast with an apple ale, that'll be like the only thing people think I like, and that'll be the only thing I drink. So I'm like, we're gonna try something else. So no, I hear you.
That's where you just gotta call your buddy on like a Friday night. Hey man, I gotta get rid of these apple ales before the next podcast. You want to come over?
Right,
and chill?
we gotta kill these and talk about karting because I gotta talk about karting another time with other beer, so I can't drink this beer. Yeah, no, for sure. Somebody on the forums actually called me out on that. I think it was TJ, and he was just like, you can't always just drink apple ciders, and I was like,
well, that and TJ is kind of he's like our resident beer connoisseur, isn't he?
Right.
Yeah. It's funny every time he comes down and races at GoPro. I always take him something local, just as kind of like a thank you for all the hard work he does for us at Racing for Charette and everything too. So I got him hooked on this Vienna lager too, and then I'll take him some local like Charlotte stuff because Charlotte's actually a pretty solid beer town, which is pretty sweet.
Well, I used to live in Durham, so like that Durham, Raleigh,
Did you
Charlotte.
Really?
Yeah, so I know the area pretty well. So
nice.
yeah,
actually, my parents are in Raleigh. That's where I went to high school.
Cool. Yeah, I lived in Durham for a while, and then I lived in Cary for a while. So like I know that area pretty decently.
The containment area for relocated Yankees.
Yes, exactly. Yep. My mom worked for Tangram, and my dad worked for Toshiba, and they were both in that area. And so you're like, well,
nice.
There you go.
Yeah, there it is. Yep. Well, I can't really say too much about Cary because I came over to North Carolina from California, so it's not like I'm a native.
Yeah, you're yuppie too. Don't lie. Like,
yeah, well, it's what did they say in Days of Thunder? If you're from California, you're not really Yankee. You're not really much of anything.
Right? Yeah. No, I hear you. It's funny. I went to school in Northern California for like 3 years, and I went there because I was trying to be fair. I went, well, if I go to California, I'm going to get distracted by all the racing, so I can't live in SoCal because then I won't go to school. So I went to NorCal instead and then just drove to SoCal to go places. There was just, I know this sounds weird, but there was just too much sunshine. Like the weather was always the same. And so I missed...
Yeah, it never changed. You don't get all the seasons.
No.
Yeah.
So I missed rain, and I missed, like, wind, and I missed, like, weather. And so when I came back to Washington, I was like, oh, my God, it's raining. Yes!
And everybody else is looking at you like, the hell's wrong with this guy?
No, seriously. And in California, it would, like, sprinkle, and people thought it was a tsunami. And they're like, oh, my God, we're all going to drown. We're getting swept away. Oh, yeah. And you're like, really, dude?
It was great. When I first moved over to North Carolina, I had grown up in L.A. Mm-hmm. So we get to North Carolina, and, like, mid-September, it starts to get to like 60 degrees outside.
Right.
And like inside, like my biological senses were thinking, holy crap, it's Christmas already.
Exactly, right?
It was like as cold as it got, for Christmas. And I was like, yes, this is Christmas weather. And everybody's like, no, this is just fall. And I was like, so this is what fall feels like.
Exactly. No, I could not do that because I was the opposite. Like people be running around with umbrellas in California and I'm wearing shorts. I'm like, it's still not cold outside. So what are we doing?
Oh yeah. Well, now I've done the 180. After going to school at Virginia Tech, Blacksburg gets cold.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it'll now it's like I go outside and if it's above 40 degrees on, nothing more than a hoodie is needed.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Oh jeez. Okay. So I'm gonna ask you a couple questions and bounce some stuff around, and I'll probably just edit and slice where it works. So don't worry about any of it.
Oh, that's right, karting. That was what we're on here.
Or something. About, right? I was gonna say. So tell me a little bit about yourself. I know you a lot. Probably more than you know me because of like what you did with the world record stuff and the racing for Tourette's and then just general karting. So like we have a general badass here. So I want to know the summary. Like what's 30 seconds of Trey?
You have a general trier is what you have. In a nutshell, not really fast enough at karting. So that was why one of the reasons I wanted to do that endurance stuff. I was like, well, maybe if I can't be as fast as everybody else, maybe I can just last longer than everyone.
Right. So, yeah.
I grew up loving racing. My dad took me to the Long Beach Grand Prix when I was 4 years old, and I mean, right from that, I was like, I want to race something. So every year for Christmas, ask for a go-kart for Christmas, and of course, no go-kart each Christmas because they just fall off of trees when you're 5 years old. It's like, oh yeah, I want a go-kart, so that's what I should get, right? No, not quite that way. But when we moved to North Carolina, I finally got to start racing. I was about 16 when we finally got started. So I've been doing it on and off ever since. Through high school, raced pretty regularly, and then in college, took some time off to finish school and all that kind of stuff, and focus on that. And then ever since then, it's been up to me to pay for it. So it's been very intermittent since then. But it's just something that I really love and a hobby that I like to have. And I discovered that aside from being slow, and that being one of the reasons that I wanted to do endurance races, I also saw that as something that people may want to get behind and support more so than just Joe Schmo racing at his local track. It's very hard to find sponsorship for something like that. But with doing world record attempts and saying, Guinness, this is attached to a Guinness World Record. I'm doing this for a really good cause, which that wasn't like the reason that wasn't like part of my motivation for trying to find money, but that was like the whole motivation for actually doing it to begin with. But it all kind of brought things together a little bit more, and I realized that I had a better shot at getting more seat time and doing more driving if I tried to do something like that than just race at the local track.
Yeah, no, totally. It's funny. One of the reasons that I was really psyched to have you brought on was because you're one of those people who's really good at figuring out a way to bring value to multiple different causes through karting. And in a couple of podcasts, we've talked about how racers should try to look at different ways to use the skills they've got to create value for people and not just be like, oh, I'm fast or, oh, I race a go-kart, because there are, thousands of racers all over the country that can do the same thing. And so how do you create something that is unique, that is valuable for the people that you're working with, not just like, give me money because it helps me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and exactly. I mean, especially with the endurance stuff. I mean, that was such an easy angle to work. Like for instance, RibTech was like, hey, I'm going to drive for 24 straight hours. That's a perfect moving advertisement for RibTech. Tires. I can show everybody that your tires can last for a 24-hour run, that kind of thing. Like it really was pretty simple. So there wasn't, when I first did that very first record attempt, there was no money involved anywhere. It was all just stuff. It was all getting everything put together that I needed, which really benefited the TSA, now the TAA, the Tourette Association of America. That benefited them a lot more because any donations that I took could go straight to them as opposed to paying for the record attempt and paying for tires or paying for fuel and all this kind of stuff. So being able to get all that stuff provided really made it so that the Tourette Association could benefit a lot more.
Totally. And it's funny because what's a good way to say this? Sponsorship isn't just about money, right? It can be about an exchange of goods, or it can be about an exchange of services, or there are multiple things you can do to make these relationships work, right? Like what I've done sometimes when I've worked with some people when we're talking about sponsorship, is instead of asking for money, I'll give a dollar approximation to what an item is. So it's like, a set of tires is $250, or $100 is 5 gallons of gas, or whatnot, so that they have a direct correlation of like what I would be giving for what he would use it for. And so, you know what, Davin, I'll just go get the gallon of gas, or I'll go get the tires, or I'll go bring you the gear that you need, rather than actually giving you the money. It's easier, it's cleaner, I can write it off. And a lot of times, I was just going to use that for racing anyway. So this works out better, actually. Exactly. So, we know what it's for, so this just is a no-brainer, right? So
cut out the middleman, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there are also like other things people don't even think of, like food and lodging and beer and travel and just other
and more
beer. Yeah, exactly. That just would be super helpful, that if you were just creative, you could build those relationships that over time can grow to something else. Sometimes the best people I've worked with have been over small things, like, hey, Davin, I can only give you a set of tires for one race. And I'm like, oh, excuse me, you said a set of tires for one race? I think we can make something work. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, they don't have to know how long that set's actually going to last.
Exactly, yeah. It's like, But still, the thing is, it's just like every little bit can work in some small way, right? And so it's about being creative and putting a portfolio together that really can get you where you need to go, not just trying to be like, well, I only want money, or if it's less than X amount of dollars, I'm not even going to talk about it. Like, that's never going to work. So.
Well, yeah, and what you need to realize is that a sticker on the go-kart really isn't going to do anything for this business too. And that's where a lot of that creativity comes in, is what can you offer to them aside from just a little tiny bit of signage? Because let's face it, the side pods on a go-kart are not big. They're tiny, exactly. And not only that, they're very far away from everybody, and they're moving very quickly. And it's not like you have the huge hood of a stock car that's being shown on TV in super slow-mo, all that kind of stuff. And you don't have an interview where you can sit there and look at your suit and say all of the names that are on your suit and that kind of stuff. And there's no opportunity to pull a Michael Waltrip and make sure you get everybody in there. So you really do have to get much more creative, not only with what you're asking for, but with what you're offering back to them too. And that's really been, it's really been one of the trickier things to try to do. And it's all about being unique. It's like Ross Bentley says, you have to have your hook.
Right, exactly.
You have to have a hook. There's something that sets you apart from everybody else, and that's the key, is figuring out what the heck your hook's going to be.
And I think everybody's got some innate skill to some degree that they can use outside of the ability to drive that is more valuable. Like, I know, like you said, I'm not the fastest guy, and I will never proclaim to be the fastest guy, but I do know that I'm good with business, and I know I'm good with IT stuff, and I know I'm decent with social media things. And so there are other elements where I can tie my skills together that can provide more value. Like, I'll do some consulting for you if you can help me with this race thing, or, these two things can go together in a different way than just, oh, let's try to find signage on a tiny side pod or on a suit that no one's going to see, or, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because those things won't deliver the value that people hype up. And that hype train is something I always try to avoid. Like, I'm really big on avoiding hype trains, because it's the easiest way to destroy relationships. People are like, oh, it
really is.
Because people will find out. People will find out. Like, especially those who aren't involved in racing, the worst thing you can do is hype them up, because then the moment they find out they're not getting what they think they're getting, they never want to do it again.
Not only have you killed your relationship, but that's now a business that doesn't want to have anything to do with racing at all.
Right, exactly. So it hurts everybody.
And that's no good for the sport, when you could have fostered a really good relationship. And maybe after a few years or something like that, it's not necessarily working out for you. But if they're still staying in racing, then that's good for the sport. Yeah. And anything that's good for the sport is good for everybody involved in the sport.
That's well said.
Yeah, I would try to treat any kind of relationship with that kind of outlook. Yeah. Like, look, even if we don't, even if this marriage doesn't last, I don't want you to completely be turned off from this sport entirely. Right. I want to bring people to the sport, not turn them away. Totally. It's funny that you mentioned, though, like, do some consulting work or something like that for a sponsor, because that's actually my longest relationship with a sponsor outside of working with TJ, obviously with Octane Visual, is a recovery mix, recovery protein mix company.
Tell me about it.
And they're actually out of Northern California, C12 Recovery. And I was able to really tie in the endurance athlete aspect of what I'm doing with the endurance races, and then also the fact that I'm also a trainer. So they're essentially getting sponsorship in two different directions. Right. They're getting double the feedback, right, and double the put.
Yeah, you're attacking two markets at once. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So if there's any drivers out there who can sort of tie in something else that they do with the racing, and it gives them two platforms to now advertise this product, they'll be in much better shape. And the businesses love that.
Well, and I think the other thing is that it helps when you can use your own unique skills, because in a competitive area, it kind of helps to narrow down the competition you're hunting for sponsorship, because it's something you can ace, right? So rather than being like, oh, hey, I'm X driver and I've won X championships or finished X number of races, where the next kid next to you can do just as many races or more races depending on where mom dad's money come from, basically, right? Exactly. When you have a unique skill that's like, I'm trained as a professional so-and-so, right? I can build this stage. I am an IT guy. I can work in technology. It doesn't matter, right? That's something that's of direct value to that business, that if you do a good job, they won't look anywhere else because they need you. And so it's just like, you're the person who does the thing for us, so we don't need anybody else. It's fine. So, yeah, that's always something that I always tell people to look for. It's like, find that thing that you're good at and focus there, because you'll probably run into less competition than trying to go where everyone else is. So, Okay, so I have a question about the endurance race. This has been bugging me ever since I knew about it. Did you do like 24 hours straight, or like did they let you stop to like eat and go to the bathroom and stuff?
So with the world record attempts, that was completely up to me how I managed those 24 hours. So the records were for distance in 24 hours. Okay. So the very first one that we did at Newcastle in 2011, we did 62 lap stints and then about a 10-minute break to service the cart. And I would run in, go to the bathroom, get stretched out, switch my camel back. So through all of the ones that I've done, I've never actually eaten anything.
Oh, wow.
It's all been liquid diet and stuff like that. So I teamed up with Infinite Nutrition. They do nutrition for triathletes. So during triathlon, they have their drink mixes that you put in your water bottle. You mix it with water, all that kind of stuff. So we would mix Camelbacks full of that stuff, and I would just literally zip tie it to my rib vest.
Oh, cool!
Zip tie it to my rib vest. Wrap the straw around my neck and put it up into the helmet. That way, it's always on me. I don't have to disconnect anything when I get out of the cart and that kind of stuff. Yeah. And it was just sort of an easy hook to take on and off from the zip tie. Sense. So that actually worked out really well. So I would just change that during the breaks. I think during the first one I did try to eat like a peanut butter and banana sandwich, and every time I took a bite, all I wanted to do was throw up. So I think I just gave up on that and just accepted the fact that my stomach was going to be fucked. I mean,
no, I hear you, man. No, I get you.
That was pretty much all I could do, was just accept the fact that my stomach was not going to be happy with me and just push through it. I think during the first one I might have thrown up once. Not in the cart, but like when I came in for a stop.
Good.
But then after that, I kind of got a little more used to it. Then I did the indoor attempt, and the first one of those I really didn't manage it very well, so our breaks actually ended up being longer. But then when it comes to the endurance karting races, though, the 24 Hours of America, which they actually just did this past weekend, I'm very disappointed that I had to miss it this year. But they required for the solo class, they required us to take a 10-minute fuel stop.
That makes sense.
So whenever we came in to refuel, they held us for a 10-minute minimum stop. And I think it was just a matter of their insurance needing that to be done for the solo guys. Sense. So yeah, I mean, I could understand that. Yeah. And then it was really funny because like the first time that we raced that with other solos, we're like, okay, one of us is going to break. One of us is going to not be able to get back in the cart right at that 10-minute mark. And every single time we both got in, and we're both sitting there like, holy shit, the other guy's not braking. Like, we're like, wow, this is actually going to go down to like the last hour of the race. And sure enough, it went down to the last lap, and we finished like 2.8 seconds apart.
Oh, that's crazy.
After 24 hours, 2 solo guys, same lap. I mean, within sight of each other at the end of the race. So that one was pretty intense. But yeah, the endurance karting, they give us that 10-minute mandatory stop. And what I actually do is I usually just have like a catheter bag as a precaution, like a just in case. So what I can do when I hop out of the cart, all I have to do is flip the valve and stand next to the fence.
Makes sense.
As opposed to having to like run into the bathroom or anything like that. It makes it go a lot quicker.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's always the logistical stuff I was always wondering, because it's like with a car, it makes a lot of sense. It's like we got multiple guys, and you have a drinks bottle, and you pee in the car. It's like you swap out or pee in the car or whatever. And like there's a thing that's going on. But the first time I had heard that you had done a 24-hour karting event, I was like, that's bullshit. No, we didn't. that was literally it. And then I read into it more, and I was like, oh, wow, we did. Wait, how do you do that? What? It was kind of one of those. So that's awesome. That's good.
Yeah, so we definitely have come up with interesting solutions for some of that stuff throughout the course of it. And then this past one, or the past several, I want to say the last 3, we realized that doing some gel packs also, like during those pit stops. So like the, like the little goo shots that you can do for like marathoners and stuff. Yeah. We added those into the mix just to get a few more calories in. Sure. And man, at the end of the race, after the last like 3 that I did versus the first 3, I felt so much better. Yeah. At the end of those last 3.
So, what would you recommend then for just racers, maybe sprint karting? Because like I have that trouble when it's going to the track and figuring out like what's the proper nutritional or like things I can use to supplement while I'm there, sort of thing. Like, what would you suggest that would help if people are trying to make sure that they have, the right supplements or things to support them?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it is tough because I mean I fall victim to it myself, and that's when you're out there working, and I mean you're constantly hustling, even when you're not on the track, like you're fixing the cart, because most of us aren't racing for a big team. We do all the work on our own cart and all that kind of stuff, and you're sitting there hustling. I forget to eat, and that's saying a lot because I never forget to eat. Like I eat 5 times a day. I mean, just ask my wife. I turn into an asshole if I eat.
Yeah, hangry.
But when I'm at the kart track, for some reason, I get so focused on what I'm doing, I forget to eat. So, I would say the most important thing is just remember to eat something. Like, first and foremost, remember to eat something. And if you're going somewhere that doesn't really have concessions and that kind of stuff, I mean, even if they do, they usually have fairly crappy food. Corn dogs and a bunch of sodium, fried chicken, whatever. I mean, these 12-year-old kids are out there racing. They could eat anything, and they're still good to go. They still have a ton of energy. Right. But, once you're a certified adult, you eat that kind of stuff, and even if you're not worried about it making you fat or whatever, you eat that, and you just don't feel as energetic as you used to. So the main thing is eating foods that will put energy back in your body. So actually eating some carbohydrates, even if you're trying to stay away from them during your regular diet, eating some of that stuff will help. Even simple carbs, they process really quickly and they give energy back to you really quickly. So, a PB&J on white bread, something like that. It's something simple. It'll put some of that energy back in you. I love bananas. Yeah. Big fan of taking bananas to the track.
Yeah.
That's definitely my jam.
I have a weakness of bananas and then pre-cooked waffles because I like waffles. And so like I've made waffles and then put them in little Ziploc bags and then just carried them around with me. So I'm walking around like eating a waffle and some fruit because I'm just like, that's good.
You know what? And that's some of that simple carb that is going to process quickly and give some energy back to you quickly. And since you are in a very higher metabolic state, you're moving around a lot. That's not going to harm you like it normally would when you're sitting at a desk
doing nothing.
eating a giant freaking
right,
waffle.
right. Yeah, well, and so like what I found, it's actually my girlfriend's fault that this ended up coming to be, because I had her start to help me pack my food because I'm not responsible enough to know to pack the right things. So she'd be like, candy, fried chicken, candy, what? Right? So she started to help pack stuff for me too, and that actually helped to just maybe a day before, just get a cooler and then just put this food in the cooler, or like a backpack, right? Like on practice days,
Absolutely.
just get a backpack, put all the food in the backpack, put the food in the van, and then it's there for when I leave.
And ready to go. You don't have to worry about it in the morning.
Yep.
Well, yeah, especially if you're getting up at like 5 o'clock and leaving by 6 to get to the track on time, you don't want to have to do that kind of shit in the morning.
Exactly.
So,
yep.
Yeah, just get a. I always do, like you said, I do a cooler the night before. Usually has one or two sandwiches in it, 1 or 2 bananas. Maybe a Gatorade.
Yep.
I'll take some waters, but I won't drink any more than like 1 20-ounce Gatorade while I'm at the track. Anything beyond that, you're just drinking more sugar than you really need.
Just to pace yourself.
Yeah, you don't really need the sport drink as much as the sport drink companies want to make you think that you do.
Yeah, it's like Family Guy, right? When they're like smoke, right? It's the same thing, right? Just drink tons of Gatorade.
Yeah. Kind of like Idiocracy, it's got electrolytes. It's what plants crave, right? I mean, it's you don't need all that stuff. So like maybe take a Gatorade. Definitely drink a lot of water. I mean, I always have a water in my hand when I'm not on the track. Sometimes if I don't have my head screwed on straight, I'll take the water out with me on the track, but I try not to do that too much.
Sits in my cart stand.
Yeah, it goes in the cart stand, exactly. So I always have something in the cart stand. I always have something sitting on the tailgate of the truck if I need it. But yeah, like you said, pack that bag the night before. A couple of sandwiches. If you want to take like a chicken sandwich, something that transpose easily, then that's fine too. Grilled chicken sandwich.
Right. Hey, look, I'm allowed to, okay? I'm allowed to have fried chicken sandwiches. It's signed when I was born. I'm allowed to have that. So don't take that away from me. So, no, but I hear you though. Like it's really the part that I found when I first started racing is, like you said, I got so excited to go into the track that I forgot about myself. So the cart had fuel and there was tires and everything. The cart was ready, but then like 2 sessions in, I'm like, oh, I'm tired. Oh, I'm gonna die. Right? Because I never put anything in my body because I burned myself out. And then it's like, and I'm, especially like you say, when you and I are slightly on the older side of senior, leaning into master. Those times we do run senior and we run up against 15-year-old kids who have energy to burn for years. Right? We're like, why is he not slowing down? Oh, it's because he's got a higher metabolism and can jump up and down. Yeah, we need food.
I know. Even when I was 16, when I didn't know all this stuff yet, I was known for taking a nap after qualifying at the track.
Yep.
Like that was after qualifying, I'd get the cart ready for the heat race or for the main event, whatever it may have been, and I'd probably pass out for about 20 minutes just sitting in my Coleman chair, and I'd fall asleep almost every time. And it was because I really wasn't eating enough. I wasn't putting fuel back in my body, and I was just getting tired. Granted, I was somewhat refreshed for the race, but I would, naps are fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I got nothing against naps. I wish I could have taken one at some point today, but sometimes life isn't that good to you.
They stop paying me if I sleep while I'm at my work. So that it's really weird. Yeah. No, but
I can't exactly just tell somebody to go do this many sets of this exercise and take a nap while they're doing it.
Yeah. You do pull-ups. I'm a nap.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like an even trade-off,
right? So what else was I going to say? Well, on the side note with the napping thing, I've got a cart van that I load all my stuff to the track. So I put everything in the back of the van and, carry it all there. So when it's out on the track, I have a full open space to do whatever I want to, like change clothes or whatever. I have fallen asleep there so many times because it's just a big open bay.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, and I have to set my alarm to make sure that I don't miss a heat because I'll sit there and I'll be like, and then all of a sudden the whole engine's like, oh crap, that's me. Right? So I hear you. So let's make sure we connect the other two things together here. So you're personal trainer, fitness trainer, what's going on?
Yeah, so I'm actually full time. I'm an engineer.
Okay. So
I work for a company that's a couple states away. So I work from home, which gives me a little bit of freedom to do some personal training. I am a personal trainer who is a motorsport fitness specialist. I specialize in motorsports fitness. So I'm actually a strength and conditioning specialist as opposed to a personal trainer. Basically the same thing, just you have a 4-year degree. And there's a little bit extra that you learn to work with athletes and things like that, as opposed to, general population fitness and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I work with a couple of drivers in the IMSA series, and a kid who's running K&N East this year, and then just picked up a go-karter, a local go-karter to work with too. So, and then on top of them, I've got a couple of general, Gen Pop clients just over at the gym that I work out of. Yeah. So, I'm trying to do as much of that as I can, and get to a point where I can transition from engineering to full-time fitness.
That's awesome.
It's one of the reasons that my wife and I moved here to Charlotte, so we could be around this very concentrated population of drivers, and I could work with them in a professional fitness relationship.
That's cool. So, maybe without giving away too many secrets that people don't call you, like, what are the core exercises that people need to do? Because I know some people who are in go-karts that probably should be exercising. So what do they do?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's funny that you said core exercises, because core is one of the things you really do need to focus on. Obviously, your abs and your lower back and stuff like that. You don't want to be falling over in the cart. And I just realized that this is a audio podcast, so me side to side here really isn't going to do anything for the podcast.
We'll find a GIF of you falling over and be like, just look at this at this minute here. It'll be the same.
There we go. Exactly. Just find a picture of somebody falling out of a go-kart, and then we can throw that. But yeah, core, and then obviously your shoulders really come into play a lot. And the biggest thing that I notice and that I get a lot of people talking about is their hands. Even James has asked me, how do you avoid arm pump and that kind of thing. So hands and forearms are really important to pay attention to. And then the neck. I mean, you got to strengthen your neck. The ways to do that are not very well developed per se. Nobody trains the neck. I mean, it's just nobody does it.
Yeah.
Even professional athletes, none of them train their neck. And the ones that do, they do it in really funky ways.
Yeah, well, and it's a really high risk area if you get it wrong. So it's kind of hard to.
Yeah. But even knowing that, it is a trainable part of the body, and it's a very important part of the body to train, because not only with karting, not only do you have to hold your head up, obviously, but training the neck, strengthening the neck, can help you reduce your risk of concussion and cervical spine injuries if you're in an impact. So if you basically think of the head as sitting on top of a cylinder, the neck, by increasing the diameter of that cylinder, so basically increasing the circumference of that cylinder, or increasing its rigidity, you don't allow the head to move nearly as much in an impact. So if the head moves less, the brain moves less inside the head. I like to describe it as sort of having a built-in Hans device in every direction, as opposed to just towards the front. Yeah. But yeah, it's something that has been being developed probably over the last decade or so, and it's just now sort of becoming accepted. Sure. I guess it isn't even super accepted yet, but it's starting to become a little bit more accepted as a appropriate method for reducing the risk of concussion and that sort of thing, which works out well for me. And obviously, I'm one of the main advocates of that. But yeah, I a couple of years ago, I went and got certified as a head and neck training specialist so that I could do manual resistance training on people's necks. So that's what I've got that's the program I've got all my drivers on right now. Is they train their neck once a week, and I am the resistance.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Cool. Very cool. Okay, so I want to switch gears on you again. So we haven't talked at all about like your karting specifically. Like we've talked about your endurance racing, but like just like what you feel about karting and what you like about karting, and like I always want to try to grab that from people. So start talking.
For me, it's basic, man. I love just the thrill of being in a kart. How fun it is to be in a kart, to be going that fast, that close to the ground. Just the sensation of getting whipped around a corner, the simplicity of karting. I don't have to spend the entire week putting a car together to go out to the track and enjoy my day. There's just something about karts, how small and simple they are, and how capable they are as a result. Yep. And that's what really drew me to it and kind of kept me. I never really wanted to go past karting. I want to race go-karts. Yep. Like they're so much fun. I love it so much. And I just want to do, all I want to do is
race my go-kart,
work out and race go-karts.
Right.
I mean, that's,
yep.
You know, yep. Like if I can make that my life, that's exactly what I would do.
No, it's funny. I jokingly said the same thing to my girlfriend once. She was like, "How was your day?" I'm like, "I don't know. I went to work and all I want to do is play video games and race my go-kart. So what do you think?"
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and it's funny. My wife will be sitting in a like a long drive or something. Her family is up near DC, so it's about a 7-8 hour drive from Charlotte up to DC, and we'll be sitting there driving, and she's reading her book, and one day she just asked me, she's like, "What do you think about while you're sitting here driving for 8 hours?" And I was like, honest answer. She said, "Yeah." I was like, go-karting.
Yeah.
Like, I will sit there and literally think about go-karting for an 8 hour drive. Well, she's reading her book or whatever, working on her schoolwork or whatever she's doing. I'm sitting there. I'm just thinking about go-karting.
Yep.
Thinking about the last 24 hours of America. The next one, my next race at GoPro, whatever it may be. I'm just thinking about go-karting.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's funny. My buddy Jason has been helping me work on some karts lately, and because just garage space and such. And so we'll kind of go back and forth on working on stuff. And he knows that if there's something half done when I leave, I can't stop thinking about it until we have it finished. And so like I'll call him back and I'm like, "Did we move that seat? Did we change that alignment? Did we do that?" Yeah, he's like, "You could maybe stop for a minute." I'm like, "Nope, sorry, cannot turn off. Sorry, my bad." That's awesome. So and it's funny. One of the reasons it's like with you and TJ, one of the reasons I love having you guys around Kart Pulse, or I guess we love having you guys around Kart Pulse, is because you're really good at like fostering that community of regular people who kart. Because, and this isn't a slight against other groups who do other stuff, but sometimes I feel like we forget about the 99% of people who work during the week and just want to go karting. And, they love it. They have fun. Yeah. It's a family thing. Maybe they don't want to go and be a professional race car driver. Maybe they do, but it doesn't really matter. And if it doesn't matter if they're winning or they're 20th, they just want to enjoy the sport and work on the karts and be with people, right?
Karting is pure fun. I mean, that's all it needs to be. And I mean, for some kids, it should be a stepping stone to whatever they want to try to do in life. I mean, I'm never gonna knock anybody for having dreams and ambitions. Sure. Like that is exactly what you should have in life, and you should absolutely work your ass off to get to it. But you know what? For some people, that's just not how life's gonna go. I mean, I knew very early on that I don't have the talent to be a professional race car driver. That shit just didn't happen.
Exactly. Or the massive amount of wheelbarrow of cash that will come in from stage right. Like that's
exactly. Like that's just even if that money did even if that wheelbarrow of cash did come in, I still don't think I would have been able to use it to get to that level. Maybe I could have gone halfway up the ladder or 3/4 of the way or something like that. But I knew I wasn't going to be racing an IndyCar or Formula One or whatever it would have been. Thankfully, I was smart enough. I could go get an aerospace engineering degree and use that, and then over the course of working and actually training for something that I was doing with go-karts, fall in love with fitness and have the drive to try to pursue that as well alongside an actual career. And karting is my release. Right. Karting's my escape. Like karting is what I do to just enjoy myself.
That's true.
And it doesn't need to be anything more than that. And that's what I love going to the track and racing with people like that. I mean, they're there because they love karting. Right. They're not there to obviously everybody's there to win. That's part of what we love about it is the competition. Yeah. I love competition.
Yeah, me too.
I can't like play a game of pool without trying to win.
Yeah.
I'll race my wife out of the neighborhood in the morning.
I hear you. Ain't it?
Definitely very competitive. Yep. But it's just so awesome to be at the track with just a bunch of other people who, like you said, they have their regular jobs. they're working during the week, and all they want to do is come out and do the exact same thing that I'm doing, and that is drive fast, have fun, and try to beat the guy next to you.
Exactly.
And you know what? And afterwards,
have a beer.
Regardless of which one of you two beat the other, you go have a beer.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, it's just it's that simple, and sometimes I don't understand why it gets more complicated than that.
Yeah.
It really doesn't need to.
I know. And it's just like, why? So, it's funny. We said this in episode 2, and we said this at PRI, and I still believe this now. Sometimes it is just shut up and drive your go-kart. Because we shut up and hop in the go-kart. Like, sometimes we spend so much time with politics or, like, little minutia of things that don't matter that it's like, come on, can we just go back to go-karting? I just want to drive the go-kart.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, as soon as I hear somebody start complaining about, like, oh man, they got us on these crap hard tires, or like, oh, so and so's got his motor built by this guy, and I'm just like, all right, I'm done talking to you now.
Just go drive your go-kart.
I'm gonna go talk to somebody who's out here still enjoying this, because I know.
Yep.
Like, you know what? If everybody's on the same fucking tire, I don't care. I don't care if it's hard. I don't care if it's soft. Like, I don't care.
Yep.
If everybody's on the same one, then hey, let's go out and have some fun.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Well, and that's where I think like a class like the 206 really sings well too. And I only thought about that one because you're like the same freaking FYZ, right? Or like even a road tax, even though it gets some hate sometimes, or X30, it's the same thing, or stock Honda, same thing, right? And there are a lot KT100, same thing. There are a lot of classes like that where it's like as long as it's the same, I'm good. As long as we're the same, I'm good, or there or thereabouts, right? I'm good. It's where sometimes karting kind of gets into its own way, where you notice like there's an agenda, or like one engine class is lighter than the others for a random ass reason, or things like that. That just start to kill the fun for it. Where you're like, look, man, we need to make this fair as possible because you want to have people stay in the sport, and you don't want people getting frustrated or embittered. And sometimes that does unfortunately happen, where that's the flip side sometimes for being competitive. Like I'm really competitive, and anyone I tell that I'm not competitive calls me a liar immediately, because the moment I can't find the competitive advantage, there's a part of me that's like, come on, right?
Yeah, see, I don't even bother trying to tell people I'm not competitive.
Yeah.
They're like, God, you're so competitive. I'm like, really? You think?
Yeah. I have this look on my face in some of my photos that you can tell that if I say I'm not competitive, I'm just lying, because I had this.
Like, you look like you're trying to win that.
Yeah,
photo.
win the photo. Exactly. Yeah, it's like I'm trying to win the photo. Like, I have the best look. It is the look. Okay. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
That blue steel, right?
Yep. Exactly. So you can't get around it. But that's also what makes it so fun, is that you run up against a bunch of guys who are all working their ass off, just like you're working your ass off. And so then also when you do really well, even if that's not winning the race, you can still have a blast. Like some of the best races I've driven in, I finished like 12th, right? And it's like.
And it's not to say that doing well isn't rewarding too. I mean, you should be out there trying to do as the best you can. But it's like you just said, that I've had races where I finished 10th, 11th, 12th, and I'm like, man, I actually drove really well that race. I was like, my go-kart setup was way off, and I was able to work around it really well, and I had a really good time doing it and learning more about it. And I think that's another part of it is I love going out and just learning new things, learning more about the kart every time I go out. It's the same thing I do when I'm working with a driver client at the gym or whatever it may be. I go to these seminars and stuff like that because I love to try to learn more. And same thing with going out to the track is, I'm going to go out and I'm going to try this time. If it doesn't work,
I learned something.
Then I know it doesn't work.
Exactly.
I won't mess with it next time. But you know what? If I try something and it costs me a couple of positions, I'm not going to worry too much about that, because now I know for next time that doesn't work. Maybe try going the opposite way or that sort of thing. And even if I do completely fuck up the setup, that's just another opportunity for me to work on my driving.
Exactly. Yeah.
Another opportunity for me to work on driving around setup mistakes and things like that. Because let's face it, if I'm the one setting my kart, there's gonna be a lot of those.
No, I'm the same way, man. When I pick up wrenches, people get scared, and so I'm just like, here, you should probably touch those, because I don't know what these do. I work with keyboards, so like I totally understand. But some of the best races I've had too are the ones where maybe I messed up qualifying, or I picked the wrong setup, or I forgot something basic and I started like 20th. And at the end of the day, I'm maybe 8th, right? And you're like, dude, I actually overcame a lot to get from where.
It's like you just picked up 12 positions.
This is good. Yeah, I was working my butt off. Yeah. Exactly. Right. So
well, it's funny you were talking about the finishing 12th and having a great time, because actually the last race that I did at the end of last year, I think I finished like 13th or something like that, and the guy who finished 14th We got out of the karts, and we were just like high five, big hug. We both had a blast racing each other. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, the guys who finished first and second are yelling at each other for driving each other, for not driving each other clean or whatever. And I'm sitting back there in 13th, and I was beating and banging the whole race with the guy that finished 14th, and we had a blast.
Exactly.
Like, it was just fantastic. Granted, we'd love to be doing that farther up the field, but we didn't let any kind of circumstances or stakes or anything like that take away the fun of the karting that we're, take away the fun that we were having, because we both drove really good. I mean, he drove a great race. I drove a great race. We just didn't have very good setups on our karts, and we had a great time.
Yeah. Well, you know, at the end of the day, the only person who cares that you're driving your go-kart is you and your mom. So it's just like, you shouldn't really get so stressed out about it, because at the end of the day, nobody really cares. It should just be for fun. And so when I see people flipping out about it, I always kind of take a step back. And even I get that way, because, you get kind of wild up every once in a while.
And I shouldn't, we shouldn't like completely, we are a little bit of the pot calling the kettle black here, because I know that we both, I do it sometimes. You just say you do it sometimes. Yeah, I mean, you get frustrated.
But that's a competitive.
That's a normal human emotion.
Exactly right. You have your hands out, like, you're not crazy. I'm not crazy. Yeah, but you also have to put some perspective on it. Like, I'll go to races and it maybe won't work the way I want it to, or maybe I'll come up a little short. And like, for a couple minutes I'll be a little frustrated because I'm thinking about what I could have done to improve it. But then afterwards I'm like, look, I got to do something that a lot of people get the chance to do. I had a lot of fun. I still can move my arms and legs, and like, we're good. We're good. I did this all myself, so it's fine, right? No big deal.
And that remind me of a story from back. It must have been like 2000, 2001, something like that. That back when they were running the Briggs and Stratton 300 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. I don't know if you ever heard of that. It was an asphalt oval kart race. They did 300 laps on the Legends track. That pit lane on the front straightaway at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and it was a huge deal. I mean, big deal. They'd cap the field at 40 karts. They'd usually have 80 to 100 show up to try to qualify it. It was an absolutely brutal race. Some karts used multiple drivers just to get through it, and it was 300 laps around a quarter-mile track. And it just beat everybody up. And they were offering like $15,000 if you could get the pole and win. Yeah. So, and it was on. I don't want to say it was on TV, but it was like partially like mildly televised. Like it showed up on like NCTV or something like one of the local channels,
local channel 12,
on like a super delay, like 3 months later. That one of those.
And 1 in the morning, I'm going to be awesome when I win the thing. Okay, so like, you have no idea.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But it was so funny because they interviewed the pole sitter. His name was Perry Parnell, super redneck dude from Kernersville, North Carolina, and he was driving for CKI. And if you've been in karting long enough, you've probably heard of CKI. They do the oval karts and the enduro lay down enduros and stuff. But they're based there in North Carolina. But he was driving for them. He's sitting on the pole. And he's middle-aged dude. Just out having fun racing go-karts, and they said, how much pressure is on you to try to win this race? And his reaction, like immediately without hesitation, was, this isn't pressure, man. This is fun. He's like, we all got families to feed, we all got mortgages to pay. That's pressure. This isn't pressure. He's like, if I don't win this $15,000, so what? I came out and I had a great time racing karts. This isn't pressure. And something about that like stuck with me. I was like 16, 17 years old at the time. And I was like, man, I should never let the pressure get too high in karting, because it's just karting.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
So, I just thought I always thought that was a cool response to that question.
Totally.
That this isn't pressure, man. Like, there's people going through divorces. There's people starving. There's people, who are being abused. Like, there's people going through so much worse shit in life than I am. That's pressure.
Yeah.
This is a go-kart race. It's not
karting
pressure.
Is a total first world problem at the end of the day. So
it really is. Absolutely. Yeah. That's not even a first world problem. That whatever's above first, that's what it is. That's That's a 1%.
That's a 1% problem. Yeah,
you know?
yeah. No, totally. You know, it was funny you say that too, because like I got called out on that at the grocery store once. Is that I was thinking about my cart because something wasn't working, and I was just like I was like, you know, glooming or frowning through the checkout line, and the grocer was like, "How's your day?" And I'm like, "I don't know, it's not very good." And she's like, "Why?" And I looked at her and I was like, "Because my go-kart doesn't run." And I just like felt really embarrassed. I was like, actually,
just like, wow, I feel
I feel like a jackass right now. Like, yeah, you know what? My day is actually totally fine. I'm having a great day. I will talk to you later. Yeah, and we get so passionate about what we love to do that sometimes you do lose a little bit of perspective on it. And so sometimes it's nice to just kind of come back and remember, like you say, you know, we're racing go-karts. You know, we're not fighting fires. We're not fighting wars, right? Yeah. So like just.
But again, it's okay. It's a normal human emotion. Frustration's okay. Like, that's all right. But yeah, you know, you realize, like, man, that really is not a problem. Like,
no. That might be the subtext for this podcast. It's a normal human emotion. It's fine.
It's a normal human
emotion. That's awesome.
I'll take it.
All right, cool. I like it. So that was episode 10 of the Kart Pulse podcast. Can't believe we've done 10 episodes of this. I actually had to cut this one a little bit short because we were getting close to an hour, but Trey and I actually went on for a lot longer than that. If you want a part 2, just let me know at forums.kartpulse.com, and I'll take on the rest and throw it together and do another episode. Talk to you later. Bye.